You are listening to Washington Watch. I'm your host, Tony Perkins. We're coming to you from Washington, D.C., down here in our nation's capital. At least, tell you what, it's a little bit back to normal. No more tanks in the streets, but still concerning how the left is exploiting what took place a couple of weeks ago. All right, I want to turn now to one of the executive orders that was implemented today, or it was released today. President Biden signing it earlier today that reversed a policy from the Trump administration, something that we were actually very much involved in, that took an 11th hour order by the Obama administration, kind of a last minute out the door, allowing transgenderism in the military. President Trump came in, ordered a review of this by Secretary Mattis. They did a study, came out to the conclusion it was incompatible with military service, and so the ban went into place. Today, President Biden reversing that decision. Here to talk about it, FRC Senior Fellow for Policy Studies, Peter Sprigg. Peter, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tony.
So today, in his order, he said that the
Brand Corporation?
Yeah, that this was based on the science.
Yes. President Biden cited a meticulous, comprehensive study in 2016, which is a reference to the Rand Corporation study. But that was a speculative study, basically, that was done before we had any experience with transgender people serving openly in the military. The policy that came out under the Trump administration, the final policy in March of 2018, I believe it was, had actual data from the service members who underwent this process under the Obama policy. And so it's really much more solid data than what we had from the Rand Corporation.
So just so people are clear, people were grandfathered in who had been let in under the Obama policy. When it was changed by Trump, they were allowed to stay in. But they were the subject of the study. They looked at what it cost, how it impacted military readiness. And so what General Mattis, or Secretary Mattis, presented to the president, which he based his decision on, was based on the evidence, not speculation. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
So I thought the Democrats were the party of science and evidence.
Exactly. Well, and they're just, he's jumping back. President Biden is jumping back to this 2016
Didn't
study.
mention the actual study based upon fact.
Exactly right.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
And it's interesting because the quote in the executive order, the Biden executive order, said that the Rand study found transgenders in the military would have only a minimal impact on military readiness or health care costs. Well, reading between the lines there, the reason they said that it would have a minimal impact is because there are so few, relatively few transgender service members. So compared to the overall defense budget, the impact is small. But relative to an individual service member, the impact is great. So the health care costs for the transgender service members are 3 times higher than for other service members. They are 8 times more likely to attempt suicide and 9 times more likely to have mental health visits, mental health treatment.
I thought the purpose of our military was to fight and win wars.
Exactly.
Not a program for people who want to change their sex to come in and get taxpayers to pay for it.
Exactly, and that's a real concern, especially that this will actually make the military a magnet for transgender people who can't afford their surgery otherwise.
And one of the things, and I played this clip earlier. In fact, it's a short clip. Bobby, can we play that clip again of Joe Biden from today?
And what I'm doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform, and essentially restoring the situation that existed before with transgender personnel, if qualified in every other way, can serve our government in the United States military.
Okay, I want to key in on a word they used twice there: qualified. These individuals are only qualified because they say they're qualified. This is just like being overweight disqualifies you from service. Having flat feet can disqualify you from service. Having asthma can disqualify you from service. So what they're just saying, oh, these people are qualified. They're only qualified because they're saying they're qualified in this executive order.
Right. And in fact, people talk about the Trump administration policy as discriminatory against transgender people. Actually, what President Biden is proposing is discriminating in favor of transgender people, because other people whose genitalia have been mutilated are not eligible to serve in the military. Other people who are dependent on continual hormone treatments for their lifetime are not eligible to serve in the military. It's only if you have those conditions because you're transgender that they're saying you're allowed to serve in the military.
And this impacts a person's ability to actually perform their duty if they're in the military.
Well, that's right. Ironically, the RAND study, although he cited the RAND study, it acknowledged that some of these surgical procedures would render a person non-deployable for 110, 120, 130 days. And somebody else is going to have to, the taxpayers will have to pay somebody else to do that service member's job while they recuperate from this elective cosmetic surgery that they've undertaken as a transgender person.
So what's the rationale for this executive order?
I would say it's political correctness. It's pandering to the LGBT movement because they were supportive of President Biden.
One final question for you, Peter Sprigg. When you look at the policy, the executive orders thus far that has come from Joe Biden, my take is that Joe Biden is more aggressive, more radical, if you will, on LGBTQ issues than even Barack Obama. I mean, this is the first thing out of the chute. Even before repealing Mexico City, he's advancing this transgender agenda.
Well, he said during the campaign that the transgender issue is the civil rights issue of our time. So, he signaled that would be the position that he would take. But yeah, we thought that Barack Obama was bad when he took office in 2009, but Joe Biden in 2021 is far to the left of Barack Obama.
Wow, I'm sure there's more to come. Peter Sprigg, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
To find out more about Peter Sprigg's work, go to TonyPerkins.com, and you can follow the links over. He's got many publications on this topic, especially some for parents as you look at what's happening in your schools on this topic, because we talked about that last week with efforts by the Biden administration to transgender our public school system. Parents, you need to be equipped with that, with information on how to identify it and to push back. And Peter and our policy team have information on that. Go to TonyPerkins.com.